Part 2, Impa. Okay, I have most of the character's secondary weapons now, but I'm not gonna be showing those ones off. Just because, like, by the time you have them, you should be, like, competent at the game. I'm just gonna say that right now. If you don't know how to play this fucking thing by the time you get those weapons, you're kind of doomed. So I'm just doing the first level just for the sake of showing things off. Impa is the second character you get. Like in the second level, you have Link and then Impa. And I kind of feel like Impa being the second character was a mistake, because she plays very differently from Link. Like, whereas Link was kind of very, generic, so to speak, Impa's really heavy. She's an incredibly heavy character. She's kind of a tank, which is weird considering her overall design. Like, Darwinia being a tank makes sense. Ganondorf being a tank makes sense. Impa seems like she should be more of a ninja, you know? Like, the Sheikah are ninja, right? But she has more of a samurai aesthetic going for her. I will say the aesthetic, I like that word, like, the flourish of her moveset is very fun. Like, look at that. That's just cool, right? Bam! She is just throwing this sword around and letting it drag her with it. Like, that just looks cool. But but to actually play her, it feels incredibly heavy. And I just don't know if that was enough of a transition for being the second character that you get. Although, on the other hand, that is kind of a good, like, hey man, there's more to this. That's just my preferred playstyle. I always prefer kind of light, speedy kind of characters anyway. But whatever, she does have the power to make up for it, as, like, heavy characters kind of tend to. You know, you got your Guan Yus, your Lu Bus, those kind of big, lumbering, bash you in the fucking face type characters. Although, I say that for another reason, is also because I feel like Impa isn't really designed for crowd control. Like, remember how I said how there are moves for kind of one-on-one, there are moves for cleaning through a room of enemies? Impa doesn't have a lot of moves like that. Impa doesn't have a lot of clear out the battlefield moves. She, really, kind of the only move that she has that's really, really, really efficient for that is her 3-strike combo. Where 1, 2, oh god damn it, I'm getting the count wrong. 1, 2, 3, this. That's really her best clear out a huge swath of enemies in front of her move. Her launcher, well, launchers in general aren't really good for crowd control, they're launchers. But her second attack isn't very good for that. It's kind of like an open triangle in front of her. Her 4-strike combo, 1, 2, 3, 4, is this. And it looks like it covers a lot more surface area than it does. It really only gets in a half circle directly in front of her. So it's really only good for enemies who are directly in front of her. It doesn't sweep across the entire field. Like, that's really her best move for it. And then there's this move, which also is basically only useful for duels. Like, I feel like Impa is a very duel-oriented character. Most of her moveset feels like it's catered around one-on-one. You know? Like, if you're fighting Volga, if you're fighting enemy officers, Impa feels oriented towards that. Like, even this move, which looks badass, really isn't good for crowd control. It's good for dealing a lot of massive damage on a single opponent right in front of your face. Plus, her water element. Oh, like, I didn't talk about the elemental effects. I got a little bit of a soft spot for that one. For her, like, lone X move for the top button, she kind of just swoops forward. It's very samurai. She has a very samurai vibe to her playstyle and design. She reminds me of Auron from Final Fantasy X. I mean, she's even got the water motif going for her. At least with this weapon. Like, you can see, that three-prong move really is the best in terms of clearing out enemies. It's kind of a shame, because her moveset is really fun. It's not my personal preference. Like I said, I prefer generally more light, agile characters. But it's really fun to look at, and like I said, she's oriented towards dueling, and there aren't, like, not all of the characters are. A lot of the characters are kind of oriented towards crowd control. I would say that the list of characters who are much more perfectly suited, like, if you were doing a boss rush, these are the characters you'd want to go with for a boss rush compared to, like, kill 500 enemies in 3 minutes kind of mission. Impa is definitely a boss rush character. See, look, it barely covers any area in front of you. That has a little bit more reach, but the radius for it, like, I wish Pirate Warriors, the One Piece one, had this cool thing where in the combo moves list, it would show, like, the circumference of what the move you would do would hit. It would show, like, the area of effect. So if it was a move that would just hit right in front of you, it would highlight that area. If it hit in a circle around you, it would highlight in a circle around you. And it was really useful for showing off what kind of move it was. I wish I had something like that for reference here in this game, so that it makes a little bit more sense what I'm talking about. Maybe it's just me, but the timing of her swipes also makes it really hard for me to kind of do the move I want to do. Like, her first two swipes, 1, 2, are incredibly fast, but then all the other ones after that have kind of a build-up to it, and that kind of throws me off when I'm trying to get it to do certain moves. It's hard to describe, because it's like 1x, 1, 2, X, and then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, X. And by the time, like, you kind of register in your brain that you should press X, you might have already pressed Y again, and now you're doing this move. That's what I mean by the way she feels heavy. Like, it doesn't... You kind of need to have a little bit of lag in your brain when you're doing her moves list, if that makes any sense. I do like her Musou move here. Like, I was talking about, like, battlefield clearing moves Impa doesn't have. Her Musou is a great clear move. Like, it just... If you can line them up correctly, it just wipes out fucking everyone in front of you. It really works. for that. And it also does a lot of damage, so it's also a great move to do on enemy officers or bosses. And she's also kind of unique in that her regular combo sends her aerial, like that, which means you can, you've got kind of an extra option there, because when you go up like that, you can either press X or you can press Y, and that'll make you come down in a different way. Like, god damn it. Fuck off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See what I mean? Or it sends her up, and if you press Y, she comes down in kind of like a spinny spiral headbutt thing. But then if you press X, she comes down in like a sweepy sweep, and that's just her regular one. Like if you do a launcher, that's the only move you can do when you're in the air. If you do the launcher like that, and you press Y, she does like a spin upwards. But then if you just do the regular hammer the Y button over and over straight, she comes down in a spiral downwards. I don't know if I'm making any degree of sense. Personally, I like her secondary weapon a lot more than Naginata. Just because I think it's a much better weapon for crowd control. And when it comes to Musou games, like, what are you doing 90% of the time? You're fighting through the horde. So to me, having a lot of crowd control options is paramount. But that's just personal preference, I suppose. Like I said, I don't really go for heavy characters anyway. Like, I don't really like Darwinia either. And he's, like, without a doubt, the tankiest of all the characters so far. Oh, I don't have magic. I should fill that up because I wanted to... There we go. Okay, I didn't show this off last time. I talked about it, where if you do a Rage Musou, which is where you press the right... not trigger, the bumper? What would you call this? R? If you activate the magic meter, and then you press the Musou button, it does like a Rage Musou. That's different than if you just let it run out by itself. Does this have a full up one? It didn't have anything. That's weird. Anyway, I mentioned that if you do the Rage Musou on an enemy officer, it downs them and lets you, like, hit on their armor like that. But I said it wouldn't work if you did it on big boss enemies like King Dodongo and whatnot. I was wrong. Watch. Now I'm gonna do the Rage Musou. Badass. Look, I was wrong. See, it downed him instantly. So if you're fighting big enemies like this, like Goma or the fucking annoying plant that sucks, you gotta, like, if you have a full magic meter, dump that shit on them and it takes them down instantly. You don't have to waste time waiting for them to open up for you to use the one weapon that they're weak against, like this. Like, normally these boss fights are just sitting around waiting, come on, do the fucking move so I can use the boomerang. It's the plant one that really gives me trouble on that. I hate that plant so much. Oh, I thought that would kill him. So yeah, instead of waiting around like that, if you have the magic meter full up, burn it on them instantly to take them down right away. Especially on the plant. I hate the plant so much. It never freaking does its move that opens it up for the boomerang. Like, compared to Goma, which just every move it makes is that freaking I-beam, which opens it up for the arrow. And compared to King Dodongo here, who's also pretty rare, I don't know if there's ways you can trigger them to force them to do those moves or not. It's really annoying. If you have full magic, burn it. Because otherwise, this is a trial in patience. Which, I get it to the Zelda vibe. You are just kind of waiting for them to open themselves up so that you can use the item you got in the dungeon on them. But in terms of Musou, it's pretty frustrating to have to wait around for them to do that. Killed him anyway. So yeah, Impa's a cool character, but she's not my top pick. I don't know, maybe you're different though. Like I said, I prefer the light speedy characters, but I still get her moveset and I get her use. And so maybe she fits your playstyle a little bit more than she fits mine. As you can see, when you play the game on harder difficulties, you get more of a reward at the end. Which further lends credence to my statement I made elsewhere that you should basically just play this game on hard mode. Don't even bother on normal mode, I think the game is too easy on normal mode. Oh no. I think the game is too easy on normal mode. I think it should be played exclusively on hard mode. You get more rewards, it's funner. There's basically no downside. And like I played it on hard mode, and it was I still kind of tore through them too much already. They're way too high level. I gotta maybe not do it on the first level next time. You know what? Let's make it even easier. Oh man. Sheik is broken. Spoiler alert, she is broken as hell. I'll show that off next time.